Yo guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Magic Boys YouTube channel. My name is Rodrigo and I'm here today to show you how me and my friends fixed the loot system for D&D 5e. So we're gonna go ahead and get started because I've got a couple of different things. I got a mix of loot and crafting today, and then next week we're gonna do some magic, arcane thing, all that shit, all that jazz. And I have music playing in the background. Don't worry, non-copyright, I hope. But if it is, I will have to fucking delete and redo the video. Anyways, so the loot system in D&D is a little bit confusing. Kind of threw me off. I didn't really want to do all those crazy little things, so I basically created my own. I don't know if you guys can see it, but yeah, I created my own. It's literally called the loot system. Anyways, this is going to be available for all of my players. I'm thinking of making it into a PDF if you guys do want to use it, but I print out the copies just because I like having them be able to flip through it when they need to. But we're going to go ahead and get started with it. I wrote this all in my notes because that was like the easiest way to do it, so that's why it kind of looks kind of off like that, like it doesn't fill up to the end of the page. Anyways, so we're gonna go ahead and start with the first, which is just the rarity of loot. And on this page, we got 5 different rarities in my game, or 7. I'm sorry, not 5, which is common, common, uncommon, rare, epic, and then on the page over, I got legendary up at the top, mythic, and divine, and each one has their purpose. But basically, there's shit by the parentheses. Like there's parentheses right there. We don't gotta worry about those. Those don't mean shit. Like it says common loot. But anyways, so I did it based on the challenge ratings of every single monster and beast in the game, based off of how many challenge ratings there are. Total of 30 challenge ratings. And with the loot system, I just basically grabbed a handful of them, put them into each one with the stronger the monsters are, the higher their challenge rating, the rarer they are with their loots. So common ones go from 0 to challenge rating 5, which is like the Manticore they fought in the last episode. And next one is 6 through 12 would be challenge rating 6 through 12 is challenge rating 6 through 12 is uncommon. Challenge ratings 13 through 18 are rare. Challenge ratings 19 through 23 are epic. 24 to 27 up here are legendary. Down here from 28, 29, and 30 are all mythic, and I do have one more rarity, which is a divine item. And those guys are actually not a mob itself. Those are just straight up, you get one of the gods in the realm to be able to benefit you. Sorry, I'm just checking my watch real quick. To be able to benefit you with giving them your power, or them lending your power to basically to you and to your weapons and your armor, and it infuses with them and it gives you a new rarity and a higher strength. And it's not that easy to do it because I also wrote it in here. Let me see, let me go through some of this. Basically, the way I did it is that divine items must receive the god of choice's blessing and will be infused with their power. A god can choose a player to wield a divine weapon just at random, like, you know what, you can wield it. So they have a low percentage of doing that, or you can be devoted to them to seek favor from the god, and it'll get you a medium percentage. And that's also the max level, which we will get to very shortly. But we'll work with this one because this one's a lot easier. It's the stapled version. So basically, this is what we and my friends did. So loot amount drops right down here, is what we're gonna get into next. So each loot rarity has a different amount that it drops, such as what's it called, a common enemy or beast, excuse me, drops 1d20. Okay, so 1d20 off a common beast, and you may think, oh, that's a lot. Well, there's something that always comes before it, but we won't worry about that till once I get to it. But yeah, uncommon enemies / beasts drop 1d12, rare ones drop 1d6, epics 1d4, legendary enemies and beasts and mythic ones, they both drop the same thing, which is just one piece of loot. So if you guys want to take a look at that real quick, go ahead and pause it, center that a little bit. But yeah, and then after that we get into gear crafting, and with gear crafting, it's honestly pretty simple, not too crazy. So common, uncommon, rare, and epic gear can be I wrote it twice. Well, anyways, common to epic gear can be crafted, but the rarity of blacksmiths increases, or yeah, as the rarity increases of the item or the loot, the amount of blacksmiths that craft are less. So basically, common weapons will have the most blacksmiths. Uncommon weapons will have the second most. Rare ones will have a lower amount, and epic weapons will not be able to have as many blacksmiths around to craft. So you basically have to go look for them. Common loot can always be crafted into common gear, uncommon gear with another percentage, and then at very rare moments, rare gear. Uncommon loot can be crafted into uncommon gear and has a high chance to be rare gear. And then rare loot drops can be crafted into rare gear and has a chance to be epic. And then epic loot can be crafted into epic gear and has a 10% chance of being legendary gear. Legendary can be crafted into legendary and has a 5% chance of being mythic, and mythic loot can only be crafted into mythic gear. There's nothing beyond that. But yeah, so that's the crafting guide right there. And that's not too bad. It's makes a pretty good amount, but so now we're gonna get into where those dice rolls actually make sense with that. So basically all the dice rolls we did right here on the loot drop amount, that's gonna start making sense on this next page, which leads to the loot drop table. Yeah, that's a whole fucking table I did for that shit. But it's super, super easy to read. When I sent it to Julio, because Julio's my guy who I go through and double check everything before I show it to the guys, because I don't want. Julio knows how to balance it out, and we try to make it balanced as fuck. So he knows what the loot looks like. The guys know what their loot in general looks like, which we will get to at the end. So I can show you some generic stuff. But basically, we've got this guy right here. This is the loot drop table. And the way the table works is that players use a d20 to roll the loot amount received plus survival mod, which is their wisdom, of course. And they can roll an additional time for more loot without their survival mod. So the rarity of loot matches up with the items. So the beasts themselves have a chance to drop a rarity lower than their own, such as here, let's go with the rare beast. So rare beast can drop rare loot. And with that, here, rare beast right up here can drop rare loot right down here, and it goes all the way across. And for the rare loot and for the rare beast to drop rare loot, it has a 75% chance, which on the die indicates a 3 through 7. 3 through 7, 3 through 17 is what they need to roll on the die to be able to get rare loot. But they have a 10% chance of getting uncommon loot if they roll a 1 or a 2. And then they also have, I just hit the camera, I'm so sorry. And then they also have a 15% chance of getting epic loot, which they roll a 18 through 20. And so basically they would roll that. Whatever they get there is what they use, is the loot they're receiving. So let's say they roll a d20. One of the guys, say Toby rolls a d20, and his survival mod's like, let's say a +2, I guess. I don't know what it is. I really don't know. But let's say he rolls a d20, gets a 5 right here, and then +2 makes it a 7. So he's gonna get his rare loot, which is a 75% chance of receiving it. So he gets his rare loot, and with that, we go over to what the rare enemies drop. And then we use this side with the rare beasts. And he rolls 1d6 to see how much loot he gets off that one guy. And whatever he gets, basically the whole party can share, just to make it easy for them to craft, which also comes into having them talk amongst each other more, which I really do want them to, because they usually just look at me and like, bro, you guys got to talk amongst yourselves. I'm not part of your party. I'm just the NPC that's there. You can't tell me shit. Anyways, But yeah, so it basically lets them talk amongst their party, if anything. Oh man, and I'm so tired. But yeah, so there's that. Same thing. So let's say he does roll a 17, gets on the rare table, but because his modifier is plus 2, he gets a 19. So he would roll 1d4 for the epic loop, as you can see here. So yeah, that's basically how that works. And if they want to re-roll to see if they can get more stuff, so let's say they kill an uncommon beast, like the Manticore. They roll for loot, they get uncommon loot. And let's say Jaden's like, you know what? I wanna re-roll for that, and you only get one re-roll, not per person, per part. For the entire party, it gets one re-roll. So let's say he wants to re-roll just to get the rare item, and he doesn't, but he gets a common item, which has a 15% chance of dropping on an uncommon beast. So that happens for him, and instead of getting rare, they can get actually lower than that too. So just like the rare loot has a 10% chance of dropping epic. I mean epic. The rare loot has a 10% chance of dropping what is it called? Fucking uncommon, sorry. And then epic loot has a 10% chance of dropping rare loot. And then legendary loot has a 15% chance of dropping epic. And mythic loot has a 25% chance of dropping legendary loot. So it's somewhat, it looks complicated, but it's super easy to understand once you like start putting it all together. Anyways, next one would be the gear and item crafting. So I consider gear to be one whole thing, even though it's going to be separate regardless. So gear is weapons, armor, um, weapons, armor, magical items, non-magical items, basically anything that the players can use and carry in some way, shape, or form that benefits them is a type of gear. Not everything will benefit them, but it will mostly benefit them. Feels like something's on my side. Anyways, so not only that, but the gear and crafting also has its own table. But anyways, so basically, the gear crafting table is players use a d20 to determine the rarity of the item, plus insight mod, which is their wisdom again. Players may roll an additional time for better odds, but if the outcome is lower, gear is set to base level for its rarity. So, same thing. Same type of table. Uncommon goes to uncommon and everything. But the difference between this is if you get an uncommon gear, it starts at 1 and goes up to 15 because the way I made it work on this one is that it can't go lower now. So if you have uncommon loot, it will stay at uncommon gear when you go to basically craft and build and everything. But if you were killing an uncommon beast, you have a chance of getting common loot off of it. Not a high chance, but you have a chance. While when you use that uncommon loot to craft, you don't have a chance of getting any common gear. If you want common gear or anything like that, you have to use your common loot to do it. So it's a little more balanced, basically. It has a little more control, such as like basically mythic gear can't be lower. It will always 100% be crafted with mythic loot, no matter what. While like legendary loot, 1 through 19 on the D20, and if you get a nat 20 on the D20 or you get a 20 on the dice, that's a 5% chance of even doing it, and you get mythic loot off of that. And basically for each one, crafting requires something different. So common gear requires 10 loot drops, uncommon requires 7, rare requires 5, epic requires 3, legendary and mythic require 1 legendary or mythic drop respectively, and that'll be right below this table, right down here in this little square right here. And then after that, we just get onto the gear upgrades. But yeah, so it's the same thing, same way it works. If your modifier for this is lower than what you intend, then you get basically like if you get a minus, then it'll be a minus regardless of what you think. So if your modifier is a -1, then expect it to go lower than what you want it to. Now, we're gonna go on and get onto the gear upgrades here, as we're hitting the 15-minute mark, give or take. So basically, here in this section, shouldn't be too much more difficult. Let me check my camera real quick. Yeah, it's still good. All right. Anyways, so in this section right here, it'll be a little bit more understandable, if anything, because it's just going to be simple. So, gear upgrades. Common and uncommon items can be leveled up all the way to rare, and each one basically has a level cap as well, like an actual level, like you're playing an actual, like you're playing Skyrim, you're playing any of that. Like it will have a level cap. So we'll do the level cap first and foremost, the levels, and then we'll get to the gear upgrades and everything. Excuse me. So the gear level system basically goes like this. Common gear is levels 1 through 10, has a +1 bonus to your attacks. Uncommon gear is 11 or not? Is it +1? Yeah, +1. So uncommon gear is levels 11 through 15, has a +1 bonus, and then also levels 16 through 20 and has a +2 bonus for uncommon. Rare gear goes from levels 20 to 36, but levels 20 to 28 has a +2 bonus, 29 to 36 has a +3 bonus. Epic gear goes from level 37 to 53, and levels 37 to 45 have a +4 bonus, while levels 46 through 53 have a +5. Legendary is levels 54 to 62, and they have a +6 bonus, and Mythic gear is 63 to 68, has a +6 bonus as well. And then uh, Divine gear is level 69, nice, which is the level cap for the entire system. So you guys want to take a look at it, it'll be this guy right through here from top down to the bottom. And as you can see, level 69, pair of sunglasses, guys, right there, because I wrote this on my phone, so it's got emoji. And that's the only emoji that's in there, because nice. But anyways, I digress. So we'll go ahead and start with where I was with the gear upgrades, which common and uncommon items have a rarity cap of rare, and it's a level cap of 28, which is not the max level in rare. It's the first half before it gets a plus bonus, basically. And then rare items have a rarity cap of epic, and that rarity cap is level 45. So if we go onto this other page right here, the rare gear is at level 28, and it gets a +2 bonus. But that's where it stops for uncommon and common items, and you can't go beyond that one to get that +3 bonus. You have to have a rare weapon equipped. Same thing with epic. It stops at 45, which is the +4 bonus, and you need to have a item you need to actually have a proper epic item crafted with epic loot to get to that 46 to 53 +5 bonus. Same thing. And yeah, so epic items can be crafted into legendary items, and they cap out at 55, which is the start of the legendary items. Well, it's the second level win because legendary starts at 54, and 55 is the cap for that. Same thing with legendary. Legendary items actually can only be crafted by those in healthy standings with two gods you guys have not met yet, so I won't spoil them, but they are both specific for each one of these crafting things. Which is one for weapons, and then one and armor, and then another for magic and non-magic items. And then mythic items can only be crafted by the weaponry / armor god and the craftsman god, which is the magic and non-magic items. And the mythic cap is at level 68, legendary cap is level 62. And then the divine items must receive the god of choice's blessing and will be infused with their power. And same thing, like I said, a player can choose to wield a divine weapon. A god can choose a player and be like, you wield it. I choose you to wield the weapon. I don't know who the fuck you are. I don't know what you do, but I choose you to wield. They do that, and then just like that, that person has a divine weapon. Or you can devote yourself to a god, just like how Julio wants to do. He was asking me about that earlier too when I brought all this up. So he asked if he could devote himself to a god. I was like, you can. Um, and they will also that'll give you a medium percentage chance of being able to get a divine item. So low chance would be just going, hey, fucking you, I pick you. You're the guy who's gonna wield my divine weapon. And then minimum percentage chance to be like, oh, you devoted enough time to me, you worship me and everything, you get a divine weapon. I don't know, whatever you want. But yeah, so common gear, we're in the how to upgrade section now. And common gear requires 5 common loot drops to upgrade from 1 to 10. And then it requires 2 common and 1 uncommon loot drop to upgrade from 10 to 11, which goes from the 10 is the common level cap, and it goes to 11, which is the uncommon level cap, or beginning of the level. Then uncommon gear requires 3 common loot drops and 3 is it 3 common? 3 common and 3 uncommon to upgrade for levels 11 through 15. And then from levels 16 to 20, it requires just 4 uncommon loot drops. And then uncommon gear requires 1 common, 3 uncommon, and 1 rare to upgrade from 20, which is the uncommon cap, to the start of 21, or to the start of the rare one, which is 21. That's just basically going to be kind of the same like that all the way through. Rare requires 3 uncommon and 2 rare for levels 20 to 28. And then just requires 3 rare loot drops for levels 29 to 36. And then it requires 4 rare loot drops and 1 epic to go from rare to epic, which is 36 to 37. And then for the same thing, epic gear, 2 rare loot drops and 1 epic loot drop to upgrade from 37 to 45. And it requires 2 epic loot drops and yeah, just 2 epic loot drops, sorry, for levels 46 to 53. Epic gear requires 3 epic loot drops and 2 legendary to go from epic to legendary, which is level 53 to level 54. And then legendary gear requires 1 epic and 1 legendary for level 55. So basically you from to get from 53 to 54, you need 2 legendary and 3 epics. And then from 54 to 55 is 1 epic and 1 legendary, and then after that it just requires 1 epic all the way through. And then if you want to get your items to mythic, you will have to basically use 2 legendary loot drops and 1 mythic drop to go from level 62 to 63, which is legendary to mythic. And then mythic gear requires 1 mythic loot drop for levels 63 to 68, and the wielders of mythic gear require approval from a god in order to reach the max level, which is level 69. Now, each one of these weapons actually uses a damage die specific to it, and the weaker the item, no, I don't want to say weaker the item, the lower in rarity, or the higher in rarity it is, the better the die it is. So, right here, basically, common weapons use a d4 and always have a +1 bonus, and that's where I can actually show you one of these. Now I know the oh, actually I don't have it. Holy shit, must be in a different. It must actually still be in the car. Fuck. Okay, never mind. I don't have it, but I know that um 5e has its own like loot and epic shit drop. This is music has gotten very loud. Let me go ahead and adjust that a little bit. But yeah, so basically, I know D&D has its own type of weapon, so I know it has short swords and everything, but I think this method works a lot better and is a lot more understanding for my players. Because I know when I showed it to Julio how I wanted the damage to do, he actually really said that it works really nicely with the way he was thinking I was going to handle it. Because he doesn't know what's going on in his head. He knows I'm stupid as hell and random as shit. Like when I said that Donovan, the brother of Queen Laurel, was a man who likes messing with animals. I actually didn't intend for that. I literally just my brain went into I'm gonna be an idiot, and I said the wrong thing at the wrong time. And I was like, you know what? We're rolling with this. I don't care. But yeah, so basically, weapon damage dice work differently than they normally do. So common weapons use a D4 and always have a +1 bonus. Uncommon weapons use a D6 and have a +1 bonus from the levels, of course. So +1 bonus from levels, what was it? I don't remember off the top of my head. From levels 11 through 15, they have a +1 bonus. And then 16 to 20, they have a +2 bonus. So, and those ones I can actually show you. Let me go ahead and grab, uh, whose weapon should I pick? I have a few weapons here, custom made ones. Um, Okay, we'll use Haldir's weapon, which is a blade of the Manticore, is what I've called it basically. But these are our weapon cards right here. Now each one is specific to what they wanted. So I texted the guys and I asked them, what kind of weapon do you want to wield? And each one told me something different. Since Julio was able to get the tail of the Manticore and he claimed that for himself, he got two weapons off of it. One is a blade of the Manticore and the other is a splice dagger. Both of these are built to be different. Oh, sweet. I actually just remembered. Cool. So we can start with this one. The splice dagger itself is one of the ones, it's a common weapon, as you can see. Now, I don't have a way to indicate the level, but as of right now, we're just going to go that it's a common weapon that is near basically the rarity rank of it. So it can be upgraded to rare. And on this guy, I have it stated basically saying that it's a dagger crafted with the tail spikes of a manticore, and it deals 1d4 plus 1 damage. And there's another little bonus to it because I know the manticore's tail spikes can shoot. So I basically have it saying that it does that the dagger blade is spliced and crafted to have a blade shoot out like a projectile for 3d4 damage. So that's 3 individual tail spikes for 3d4. There's no modifier to that though because they're projectiles. And then those blades are one-time use unless provided with the replacement blades, and the bonus action can be used to reload with a new dagger blade. So think of it as just him going pew, and it just shoots like the one knife from Call of Duty. I can't remember. Fuck. But yeah, um, that knife. Think of it like that, basically. Then the next one he has is the Blade of the Manticore, and this is the uncommon one. It's a Manticore Spike short sword. It deals 1d6 plus 1 damage. Tip of the swordplate can be launched towards enemy as a projectile for 1d4 plus 2 damage because it is just now a standard weapon. And then it's a one-time use unless provided with the replacement tips. The sword tip can be laced with magic and or toxins. Reloading or lacing tips uses a bonus action and it can be mended into a standard sword tip. So let's say Julio uses it and he's got no more tips basically, and he can't like do anything to it. He can take it back to a blacksmith, and they can basically form it into a standard sword tip, and it just doesn't shoot anymore. So if he doesn't have any more, there's that. But yeah, so that's how the damage die works. Rare uses a D8, has a +2 or +3 bonus. Epic uses a D10, has a +4 or +5. Legendary and Mythic use a D12 and have +6, and then this is where something crazy comes in. So the Divine ones use a D20 and have it +8 if the prayer is stated to the god of their choice. And praying takes up an action in combat and lasts 5 turns, but if the prayer happens outside of combat, it lasts 2 in-game hours. Anyways, there's that. And that's the weapon damage die. The armor defense is the next thing. And this is the last thing as well. So it's nothing crazy, and it works basically the same way as a weapon damage and all of that. So common armor has a different type of defensive ability, or armor is a bit different from the weapons in this way because they protect the player. They don't deal damage to the player. No, I'm just kidding. So the way I did it, because I have one here too, it's for Jaden. This one's for Jaden. But I'll get to it right now. I have it right here in my hand. But basically, the way armor works is like this. So common armor increases the AC by 1, but doesn't prevent any damage. So if your character has a basically a 7 AC, it'll increase it by 1, but doesn't prevent any damage. And that's where the fun comes in. Because once it gets from common to uncommon, it increases the AC by 2, prevents 1 extra damage. And then rare increases the AC by 3, prevents 2 to 3 extra damage. Epic armor increases AC by 4, prevents 4 to 5 extra damage. 4 or 5, sorry. Legendary armor increases AC by 5, prevents 6 or 7 extra damage. Mythic armor increases AC by 6, prevents 8 or 9 extra damage. And Divine armor increases AC by 7, prevents 10 extra damage. So there is that. So right here, got them right down there. And then I got the other one right over here. Let me see if I can get on the camera because I'm fucking dumb. Right here. And they basically work the same way as the regular loot stuff, which is requires the items to craft everything. So upgrading crafting is the same way you would use it for like if you're upgrading weapons, if you're doing all of that. It's the same style. There's no difference on it. So yeah, so that's how that works. Basically, if you want to craft a rare armor set or a rare piece of armor, you would require 5 rare loot drops. Same thing. If you want to upgrade your your epic armor into legendary, then you would have to use it'll cap out at level 55 and it follows that same level scheme. It caps out at level 55 and requires its stuff to upgrade. So from epic to rare, you of course need 2 rare loots, or from rare to epic, you need 2 rare loots and 1 epic to go to get to it. Basically, same thing as the regular weapon stuff that I was already talking about. So that doesn't change at all. It just, instead of doing attack, it does defense. And the way I have another thing here that I said as well that I just realized I didn't touch upon, and it was that for the crafting, it says players may roll an additional time for better odds, but if the outcome is lower, the gear starts at its lowest level for its rarity. So basically, what I mean by that is, let's say Luis wants to craft a rare item and he doesn't and he gets a rare item, but he decides, hey, you know what, let me go for the epic, let's see if I can get an epic item out of this rare loot. And so he goes and he rolls and he doesn't get the epic item, then that basically means his armor or his loot starts at the lowest level for a rare, which is level 20, and he has to basically work his way up from there. Now it seems like a good thing, but or a bad thing or a good thing, I don't know, it seems like it's nothing crazy. But when you have to share loot with 4 other different people, I feel like it's gonna be a lot more grindy and tedious to try and get for that shot. So I think it's a nice little balance, and I think Julio says it's a good idea too, or a good little balance too. But that was something I wanted to touch on. And now let me show you the basically the armor that was crafted by Jaden. Well, that Jaden wanted crafted. So it's Manticore's pelt. And as you guys can tell, this is all based around the Manticore that they were able to defeat in the last episode. So all this is all their armor stuff related to it. Anyways, uncommon. It's an uncommon armor. Doesn't require attunement, and leather armor is made from the pelt of a Manticore. Increases armor class AC by 2 and prevents 1 extra damage. The hide of the Manticore provides decent protection. I basically put some little flavor text at the bottom of all of their stuff, somewhat. Like, each one has something different. I can show you all of them briefly. So that's Jaden's armor. And we can go ahead and continue with Mr. Jaden. So we have the Claw of the Manticore. This is actually not his item. This is his item. It is the Manticore's Tooth, an uncommon weapon. A Warhammer made with the teeth of a Manticore deals 1d6 plus 1 damage. Bottom of the Warhammer has a tooth, basically sticking out the bottom, that can deal 1d4 plus 1 damage. Solid one-handed weapon for when enemies get too close. Then there is the... Oh, that's his. And then there's Toby's weapon, which is the Claw of the Manticore. And it is a longsword crafted with the claws of a Manticore. Deals 1d6 plus 1 damage. Tip of the sword can open up like a cat's claw to basically deal 3d4 damage instead. The smaller blades retract back into the main blade afterwards, and they can only be used every 2 turns of combat. So he can decide, hey, you know what? There's my cat claws. I scratch. They retract back into the main blade, but I can't use it again for the next 2 turns. Which adds a little bit more of not strategy to it, and it makes it a lot easier. And then there's these 2 right here. These are both the same thing, and one's for Luis and one's for Santi, since they are sorcerers and they can only use this type of weapon. It's either staffs, daggers, or I don't remember the last thing. Oh, crossbows. But yeah, so they're both the same thing. So we'll just use one, and it's called a bone staff. It's a generic staff, basically. It's an uncommon weapon, a staff made of the bones of a fallen enemy. Deals 1d6 plus damage, keeps enemies at a distance of 5 feet, and can hit airborne enemies 5 feet above user. Can be infused with magic for 1 turn during combat or taken to a specialist for a permanent magic infusion. Which is something I wanted to add because I know magic in 5e is like a savior and a game and like the easiest thing to use. So what you're seeing now is the weaponry and like loot and gear side of things. And I will do a second video for all the magic related stuff of things of this game. And I also have a few little things like distance. And this I think they have this in 5e as well, but I basically made it different than regular stuff. And I told Julio about this too because he asked me about it when I showed him all the weapons and stuff. And I took it to the guys and I showed them all their weapons and stuff. They were all happy about it. But Julio asked me, he goes, "What does distance mean in this game?" And I go, "Well, he can use it to basically poke an enemy back. Like, I don't have anything here. Is that like a bookmark? No. Okay. So basically, think of this as my staff, and I go like this to keep someone basically 5 feet away from me, because you know how everyone walks in 5 feet. So they're in one square, right? So Santi's right here. He uses his bow staff to that fills up one square and then keeps the other person basically 5 feet away from him. That's kind of what I'm expecting. How I made it work. So it's one square distance away, basically. One square equals 5 feet. They're in one square. The enemy's in another square. He comes into the square in front of Santi, and then Santi uses his staff, pushes that guy away. That's how distance will work in the game. And doing that actually takes up an action and doesn't deal damage unless it's used with like a specific type of weapon. Like the bone staff itself is just gonna be pushing motherfuckers away. And let's say um, Toby changes the weapon from what he has now to like a war pike or something, then he can use that and deal damage with it as well. And when he goes to poke, it'll just be a poke, and depending on the rarity, it'll be one less. So if it's like a legendary, it'll do epic damage without the plus, without a modifier on it. But yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed that. It was a long little rant about the loot system in our game and how it works. Um, I don't know if this video is going to come out before or after the next D&D session, which is happening this Sunday. Which what is that? I think it's April 2nd. I could be wrong. Let me double check. Good thing I have my watch right here. April 2nd. So that's happening April 2nd, the next D&D sesh. And yeah, so that's basically how it's going to work. And I know for a fact in the video that does come out for that session, this whole loot system will not be implemented, just for the sole fact that they decided to skin the Manticore and take everything with them that was of possible value to craft stuff and sell. So this loot system will start being implemented basically immediately that same episode, but not with the Manticore kill. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the little creative loot system that I did. I think I fixed it and simplified it a lot more. I know for a fact I did, just because when I showed Julio, he really liked the way it came out and he really enjoyed how it works and how it basically helps them know that they have to grind for their stuff and they have to get their stuff through grinding and everything, which is nice because they all play games like that. Toby plays WoW, Jaden plays Monster Hunter, Luis loves and still plays Elden Ring, which, I don't deny him. That's a great game. Also a grinding game as well. Julio plays Destiny, Skyrim. They all play Skyrim too. They've all played it. So yeah, they're used to grinding. And when I showed this to Julio, he actually liked the idea too. And he was like, at least we have to actually do stuff for the loot and everything. It's not just, oh, here's good armor and everything like that. It's you have to work for it. And he really enjoyed that. And I know the guys are too because they're going to definitely enjoy it as well. So yeah, and I will actually show this to them on Sunday as well before we start recording and everything. and I 100% believe that you're really gonna love the loot system that I've crafted, and they're gonna hate the magic one that I craft. Well, specifically Santi Luis. Anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. This video has been going on for far too long. It's already been at the 40-minute mark. That's why I keep looking down at my phone. At my watch. That's why I keep looking down like this. Just because I'm using my watch to be able to tell it. Otherwise, everything would have been backwards for you guys. But yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll catch you guys in the next D&D video. And it'll be a good one because they're going to the Corvo Graveyard. And I think the video after that, I might do a breakdown of this guy right here, which is my favorite thing in the whole entire campaign. And I know you guys can barely see it. I can tell. I gotta like lean back. Anyways, it's basically the entire map of Zagarets right here. And I can do like a whole breakdown for it. So don't even worry about it. It'll be a grand old time. Currently, they're way down here in this one area, Corvo, right next to the Darkmoor Sea. But yeah, so shit, bro. Anyways, so hope you guys enjoyed it. I will catch you on the flippy dippy, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. Peace out.